This is Chariot TV.
And I know we are Chariot TV. We do media, then media, on Straight Talk. Now, the Asian one is the book of Daniel and Visions. The book of Daniel and Visions. Vidiana Jonathan Mensa Bonsu. No, so Abo, Amana Pahon, Meeti Bear, Edunson. Na eno ana abane senti Straight Talk ana ebetwagu make I wadwene say yeshase yakasa pi afa so many things about the book of Daniel. Yeshase e wa bra de nyeni mu nsem efa homa no ho abeboan na yetimi ate homa na se yeshase. So we go back to our old video, go YouTube channel now, search the book of Daniel and Visions. I will pop it up and you see some videos here. This is episode 18 of all the episodes. Yeah, this is the episode 18. On the book of Daniel and Visions. Last week, we were discussing the book of Daniel, chapter 8. Discussing 8 extensively, trying to look at where 8 is fitting. You didn't catch now. Message to be one more. Say the book of Daniel and chronological in terms of the chapter arrangement. I walk in Bible into chapter 1, 2, 3, 4. So we did chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4. If we chapter 4, and we jumped all the way to chapter 7. Because chapter 1 and 4 does not follow in sequential order from chapter 5. Chapter 5 and then 12 4 so we jumped to chapter 7. And you're discussing near my chapter 7 try near my and from there we looked at chapter 8 and you're discussing near my say make I wajina chapter 1 ekasa free abra yakofa Daniel in nam for me and free Jerusalem eba Babylon na the book at needs an adjuni so obesi wa mamre obesi wa kasa obesi won som wonyame som any wo dimpo enti obomoni dia de ekwan bibiri so but ehon ehunu how Daniel nam for no won say we see ho fire Daniel in chapter 2 that's the first recorded dream of Nebuchadnezzar. Daniel in my interpretation, you remember the book at this dream na ehunini na ebia gina homa ahini ahodo na kasafa ahini ahodo enan bia eba wiase the book at this na ahini me the Persia for ahini Greece for ahini ana Rome for so ahini na otwenya dindina say ahini etoso num bi ahemfo nanum mu no Roman for ahemfo nanum mu no sa nyakopon besi ahini bi besiwa and said that, and he discussed that in chapter 2 of the book of Daniel. In the free chapter 2 go to chapter 3 you realize that the book of Nebuchadnezzar is not a dream in chapter 3 but Nebuchadnezzar set up a image, a golden image, all the plains of Dura where he commanded all the people within that region, that area, say bow down to the statue. And you remember, say, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego didn't like that. And it's here, Omunyamisum, say, Jew for Besumo Huni. So it caused them. You don't go to Jafun, but we saw that story in that session. In chapter 4, Anna, you realize the second, this time, the second dream of Nebuchadnezzar. That this dream was not talking about an image of a kingdom. But this dream was talking about his downfall. Na hwiase. So you realize okay say obia krakabi you chat chine na igina homa how Nebuchadnezzar na kopon be brenase. And we how it turned out and how Nakopon humble no. But the Bible na atwe adwindina so say Nakopon bre ahontan fo ase. Na odom ahobrase fo. Obre ahontan fo ase a no adom wo ma omobre ho ase. And that took place in chapter 4. You jump echo chapter 7. And in chapter 7, you discuss it. So the first time Daniel Lankasa so any vision. So the first recorded vision in the book is in Daniel chapter 7, where he had a vision about beast and more. I hold 190. And then was talking about the same line, the same idea. Daniel chapter 2, but but this time with animals. And Daniel asked for interpretation, and Bible no church who can be feature and how all these things will turn up. And in chapter 8, two of those kingdoms, any Omahimfo, almost struggle is discussed in chapter 8. So in chapter 8, we see the Medes and the Persians and the Grecians being discussed in detail in chapter 8. And that is where Daniel, above word or the chair, now man in Chimu, and to give us a detail about that. But I will say, time when Daniel, Ekasada is son, Babylon was still in control. How did that be? Babylon was still in control? And that took us back to chapter 5. And there, you better discussing it. Into about so more kwaba about Chariot TV, straight talk to be so. Now, make our say unsubscribe to Chariot TV. I want to subscribe. Just hit on the subscription button, whether on Facebook or on YouTube. It will help you subscribe. Follow us on Facebook, like us our page. Send a baby to me aboana. You call live on so I was waiting here. You go to YouTube and you search Chariot TV. You will pop up. I just hit the subscription button and hit notification bell that you see close to the subscription button. I'm also waiting me a subscriber. And then what about to say just hit the share button. The share my for and you share it at highlight or at followers. I notify all people are your friends on your wall. Most of us, there were thousands and thousands of friends on our Facebook pages. Or a Facebook porn. There were thousands of friends. Or the moment you hit share, now share no, and then I'll share no the at highlight or at followers. You are sending the video to about thousands of people. Dear Obakubi Umua, Ebia, Ebihiano, Nabuano, Ama Ninyame Sum so Ejinayi. It was one share a babu for Nama for so etimi and yanti. I say, Eja Isaac Major, and so I was watching us live, and I say, Shadako Ponso actual at followers at highlight ego. The nobody so let us know where you're watching us from. And let us know your comment. Question BBI can let us know where you are watching us from. Miente on can our comment section. Comment section. Just drop it there. Ebia ya chill BB, but any day can and I was saying BB and they can just drop it in the comment section there. What question? Drop it in the comment section there. We are welcome to read your comments and your questions. I like. I'm also Daniel Ponso so Ediaba. Daniel Ediabase at highlight you that's it. And then many Bashadak and Edi Juma say anyway it's kasa about the book of Daniel and vision send ye down. Bashadak, what's in camera module?
Yo, me just so now, but I want to say.
Oh, you now say.
When you go pound me, where papa.
The Yako Pansy. The book of Daniel and the Akokaka. We did ye say, Obia, Wajib Brehe. Now, what funny Bible say all kind. Obia, your come ye. No, fast or can certainly, Obinia a very good and in-depth knowledge of what the book of Daniel actually is teaching. So, to be a bit media and sign and then your TSC chapter 5.
Yo, say, the kind, yena, ya phone, and animal obo, Eddie Chariot TV, echi, answer. Who I say, obey you, Medina, obey any Poma Banoma Babe. Yo, Sarunim, the Ecoso, Ewo, Abontea, and sorry no more, the Omoka, for the book of Daniel, Ebema akoye to say in some way canon. I say I will form the door. I say the way I see the book of Daniel no, the book of Daniel no. I'm not going to say I say it's so into any because said there I'm on for si can who about no. Over for book okay I will say no and to sacra into now. That is one interesting thing. Me sure say many people are if you follow Jumediano, they will be thinking about say the music the book of Daniel no Abontino. And in the book of Revelation, I said the way young see canon there. I say something to easy to understand. So why is it that as a nkrofo into me ente ase? Joe, the response I be a me de ebema on Saturday and say yes. Sanity. Why you careful? Bible the no. Amanfo bɛka asɛm bi huhuhu kakraka a wo bɛdwen ho saa wo kasa ade de I still don't get it. But Joe say obomode na say ofa na say wankasa wusua a ona ba be hu say na say do musika no ni enye saa na asɛm no yɛden etie enti na yɛden Yankopɔn ase say like we've gotten to a point where many people can now understand the book and maybe be able to even explain to others what the book of Daniel is talking about. Into the kind say mekano na say we can have the opportunity to study with people. Yes, okay, on my rundown about chapter 1 to chapter 4. Any example from chapter 4 to chapter 7. It's chapter 7, and chapter 8, because that is a sequencer book chronologically, so I say follow in terms of dates, all the date and a year. Now, the little thing I may touch on for people to note and say, so okay, chapter 7 and over chapter 8 now on my end the time one, not the echoes no choice. What I say? Chapter 7, verse 1 now, Obeka say, in the first year of King Belshazzar. Oko chapter 8 here, no Akacho say, in the third year, which is 2 years intervals of King Belshazzar. Into the chapter 5 now is going to talk about when he died, which tells you, say, if that is the case, then chapter 7 and 8 could not have come after chapter 5. Okay. Because that he will die, Joe.
Yeah. So that is a bit of information. Yeah, they might have before, but before I ever call the book no, the person may catch for say we have a website, chariottv.com. Just go chariottv.com. You can write it there and there are so many things, any resources are fully out there. Be a Chariot TV, it is pushed there, and there is more we are adding there in the sense that there are resources, sermon outlines, and PDFs. And your article sections where you go there, you can read article for yourself. And not only that, we intend on doing reading schedule, so you can go there and you see the reading schedule posted there. Try as a plus daily Bible reading and daily devotionals. All these things are modern our website. So just go there and help create traffic on it. Send a bit in your boy. People know the truth. We can do it by just telling people where to find the truth. Now, almost me into me comes on cooking can be. If you say we are no, I am not say there a drew sumpa in the sense that no cry you don't kufu be asumu. You go up penocrati, but unya a tron and a woohoo. Now I'm so who not true no. A be arguing about some penocret. Yes, sir. A tron with him. Intina man abanza. So Yamo modern dia say about ma no creative mania quine. Only pass no one sweating me TV. Now almost sweating me home faso. So Bashadrak, let's go back right to chapter 5. Then we have hammered it over and over again that the book is not chronological in the sense that the chapters are not arranged in terms of time. Sometimes I used to think about it, say, the most popular thing about the book of Daniel for people possibly maybe two things: Daniel in the lion's den and Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the burning fire.
Yeah.
And we normally take the book of Daniel for supposed stories, Bible stories in there.
Yeah.
sometimes we don't take a keen look at some of the things that are happening in there. So
Yeah.
sometimes we were caught not church, you know, say, I don't know, sequential order. You might be thinking that, well, if you read and you might be reading like that. So let's go back to chapter 5. A brief summary, you know, what is in chapter 5?
Yeah, see, in these are a brief summary, no. Okay, so chapter 5, the ending part of Nebuchadnezzar's kingdom. Now, I want to say ending part of Nebuchadnezzar's kingdom, it may be a bit confusing. What I mean by that is it is the end of the Babylonian Empire. It's no, honestly, in chapter 2, no, in Nebuchadnezzar's dream, no, he talked about 4 things there in the division of the image, you know. Daniel said all these 4 divisions represent 4 kingdoms are ebeba.
Yes.
It's up Daniel catcher Nebuchadnezzar said, this is what will happen after you. So you are the head of the goat, and after you shall come a kingdom that is inferior to yours. Now after you no enchre Nebuchadnezzar and so on one can say no, but it has to do with say the kingdom. No, so Nebuchadnezzar represented the entire Babylonian kingdom. It's chapter 5 no, it's telling us when the Babylonian kingdom came to an end. Now, one popular thing about chapter 5 the handwriting Nebuchadnezzar nana your friend Belshazzar ehui say ya throw down. It is handwriting no is what is popular in the chapter 5 of Daniel. So then people need to put in their minds and say God rendered Nebuchadnezzar's kingdom waste. God brought it to an end, and that is what is happening in the 5th chapter of Daniel. Joe.
So that is what is happening. So I presume say you can kind text no, because that is of need. My main kind some few passages in there. Maybe let me read verse 1 and 2. Then we comment on that and pick it up from there. Chapter 5, verse number 1. Let's say Belshazzar the king made a great feast to 1,000 of his lords and drank wine before the 1,000. Belshazzar, whilst he tasted the wine, commanded to bring the golden and silver vessels which his father Nebuchadnezzar has taken out of the temple which was in Jerusalem, that the king and his princes, his wives, and his concubines might drink therein. I don't know whether you have a comment. I have some 2 questions on it, but if you have a comment on it, are you supposed to all the comments in the bar?
Joe, I want to say, and penny for can say, Miss Abuabia will be already.
Oh, yeah, I'll pray.
Now, Nebuchadnezzar in the air, one will pray and another pray. They shall say, when was Nebuchadnezzar Nankasa, when did he bring the Israelites into the kingdom? No? Somewhere 605.
Yeah, 605, 606 thereof.
Okay, I say. Now, if he brought these people in 606, now I transfer for so many years.
Roughly
so many years. In fact,
43, 42 years.
40 something years. And question is, those 40 years now, Nebuchadnezzar transfer will be at the end. Did we read anywhere Nebuchadnezzar Asuma say, Mon konkofa Israel for Nema Womo Yakofa free Womo free Jerusalem no. Mon konfa mrana minumu.
No.
Never. Wanye sa nti de ntina na nana de oyes ade.
Yeah.
There is an indication say that no more we na eba no omo we ye na eba no na Joe what wi ase na me fesa futuru ma ye nyina ye ho what wi ase na o ye nneema bi na okọ a too extreme a ese o come to your senses na obusa won say there be na be mama go to this extreme there pa na be mama ye dem yi yo etoda ya na we ye na eba etoda it is you are coming to the end of things and that is why those things you are doing them now say a pride can say it is a fall that is ahead of you
or she say yeah
I say na eba and I say Joe say a servanthood idea say you have humbled yourself and say you are about to be lifted up mami chere ehonum ye kakra me say if you are there na say what feel say I say all of a sudden you are doing something bia it is awkward to you or abnormal to you. For example, who you be a umu be a who you be a who take your be any. Now all of a sudden, I said one casacra on say, but all of a sudden I said one humble yourself kakrebi. And I said for whatever reason, what be too humble. Joe, it tells you that something is about to happen. It's an indication. And I say we will be a one man also abro so na oko too extreme say we the abro so say what the stories of abi akwala bi ote a krobi mo omu obi a ofo obi anyare now all of a sudden no kweshia obi a wonim ni ba bia na okeka na adwan kire no afi e be boy na oye sa de no asem say na ato no it tells you say yes so when we hear ba you go extreme there are also say people don't take those things into serious consideration ebi na ebe to papa we no Belshazzar oh papa anyone nana oh papa have been kings what does so many years ọmọ nkwa Nyankopon kruwa say e gold e kofa free Jerusalem famra na enum ono no wako the extra mile jo kai Samson
yeah
Samson na wie ye ba ne de na oye
say
okay the secret
yeah baby is me manem kono ahọ no de ọkọ me manem wa we ya ahọ no be ye and some manem no no
so these are some of the things say obia tiwia so hye ne so o start say we nneema bi a ebro so a eniye ebetu aba say we wie na eba Belshazzar de no yo na say woni nso ade na wo mu hwe kura na ade a wo say yese Nyankopon ade no o say monko famra na me mpranfo enum ai papa Rollins so who bondo you went to us.
Yeah, but before you continue, I just wanted clarification on one of the things. You see, the text in the say, Belshazzar, whilst he tasted the wine, verse 2 making, commanded to bring the golden and silver vessels, which his father and the Nebuchadnezzar. I just wanted a clarification on that. It's not, I think Yakada, but I just wanted to re-emphasize that. It's not his father as in his biological direct father.
Yeah.
His grandfather.
Ne papa no a o kana ho asem o ha no eye ono no papa.
Okay.
It's not his real direct father. It's just like say you can say David the Bani Jesus. Otherwise, ye nyina him say David did not directly give birth to Jesus.
But
once ofri na Mary Muneba na Mary Sufri David Muno and I say ofri the house of Joseph, Joseph Sufri David Mono, David Ba. Sana echere.
Fine. Say, then they brought the golden vessels that was taken out from the temple of the house of God, which was at Jerusalem, and the king and his princes and his wives and his concubines drank in them.
Wow. Eti ohene akọ extra aye de ensesenka oye. Na ere de be say.
I must say, and they praised wine, they drank wine, and praised the gods of gold and of silver and of brass and of iron and of wood and of stone. And the same hour came forth in the finger of a man's hand, and wrote over against the candlestick upon the plaster of the house of the king's palace. And the king saw the part of the hand that wrote. Then the king's countenance was changed, and his thought was troubled him, so that his joints of his loins were loosed, and his knees smote one another.
Mm-hmm.
Then the king cried aloud to bring the astrologers and Chaldeans and the soothsayers, and the king spoke to the and said to the wise men of Babylon, whosoever shall read this writing and show me the interpretation thereof, shall be clothed with scarlet, and have a chain of gold about his neck, and shall be the third ruler of the kingdom.
Yo, uti de ekosia. Belshazzar wakosesa Nyankopon fie nema. Ka se Nyankopon fie no. Eye ne nana Nebuchadnezzar ene kokun. Eno ko overtaking the house of your friend said Kodaya. Ene saa ahemfo no na oso a omo no do mo yeden. Ahemfo no fiefo yi no do mo ba Babylon. Ena jo odo mo kọ no. Osisa niema ewo Nyankopon fie. Oda say omo sisa ni nyina na odo yeden. Wode koy. Sa niema ena akoya kofa onum. Na response Nyankopon de ma no. And he said, this is what is going to happen to you. No, Nyankopon chro egu epono no ho, wo no ho. Now Bible say, the man saw the hand that was writing. Now Joseph to ya na be na ensa bi e chro edan ho. How will you feel?
We are special.
Etiro.
Next like a detached hand, a hand that has no
Eninya nipa de gira on e chro. The way answer e chro. Na jo e chro sa no. O se ni kotodwe sha se e kika bom. Ehun amene no. O da se ehun amene papa yi. Ena o ka se ena mon ko friend yansafo ne astrologists ne sa no no mede. Omo mekire mase jo ebia obebusa se den na ekoso papa na wiye na eba no jo nobody has ever rendered God or anything about God waste wabra Nyankopon and retaliate, and sometimes it come instantly. Papa idea no aba instantly. Or say okofa ade na onno ano na no. And I would reading na wo ye na. Or say or the bibi or ye bibi fa home. Or say they drank the wine, and then what did they do?
They praised the
gods of gold and silver,
and of brass and of iron, of wood and of stone.
It is not just the usage of those, vessels, Name the gloria or the your friend is saying, Sandy may say, oh, Mona Moaboya me Tinako di Israel for Yanko Pons, so as a son near me, 1 house or fee. That's the meaning of it all. Munya and Sikane gold near the normal goals, no. They have helped them to overcome the Israelites. Joseph Kaya, yes, starting this book, you can say, in the second book of Kings, Second Kings, chapter 18, Snake, enemy team, Echo, Israel, mind say they are going to pick a year, Israel for the name, but God did not allow them. And the Bible says that God befriended the city. Then in the book of Jeremiah chapter 25, Jeremiah tells us, say, God will allow the Babylonians to come in and take everything away. And God allowed it. And this man giving glory to Sir Inyawino brings my mind on what Hezekiah said during his prayer in 2 Kings chapter 19, verse 14. So Hezekiah can say, indeed, God, these gods have made waste of all the gods of the Amamaya I overtake you.
Yeah.
They are not gods, but they are the things made by human hands. So as I say, 80, if God have not acted, you can say, these people will do this and praise their God while God will sit and not act. Sometimes, when the devil is on us, when Bonsamba so not destroy maybe concerning your life, sometimes it may take time for God to react. But definitely one day he will react. God will never watch his children to go through trials and troubles without he retaliating. It has never happened. Every time there's a response. Okay, time Israel follow Ephraim Kwasumuba. No, omu person kofa krobi mo kromo for na ma omu kwan.
Yeah.
Mark them. I will deal with them later. What I say? There's always a response from God. And here, God has responded immediately. They saw the writings on the wall. He saw it. But they ended up seeing the writings. You tell us what I David.
It was verse 8, say.
Then Bruno.
The kind 6,
Yeah.
I can't see the 7. Say, then the king cried out loud to bring the
no, the koto dwe kika bubomu. They say, ehu atoro
then the king cried out aloud to bring in the astrologers and the Chaldeans and the soothsayers. And the king spake and said to the wise men of Babylon, whoever shall read this writing and show me the interpretation thereof, shall he be clothed with scarlet and have a chain of gold about his neck, and he shall be the third ruler of the kingdom. I think let's pause here. Now, me draw attention, Kaka. You see, he didn't say the person will be the second ruler.
David.
I think maybe I should find I should know on that regard. Say at the time when Belshazzar really know his father. Yes, his actual father was the ruler, but he was a co-regent to his father. So he is actually the second ruler. So the best position you can ever give to someone will be the third ruler.
Yeah.
Me too.
I'm say yeah started and yeah can say Belshazzar ne nana any Nebuchadnezzar no people may not have understood what we were saying.
Okay.
But this is the point. The point in it say Kamwa Belshazzar no all your hene no. Nane papa enso your hene. It the two of them were reigning at the same time. And you know, because onono papa so tia kudwa so ntino. It say onono papa mum was the first in command and he was the second in command. They said the only place Daniel could have been placed was a friend saying the third in command.
Yeah.
Head ruler. Exactly. Then to us.
Verse 8, now see, then came in all the king's wise men, but they could not read the writing, nor made known to the king the interpretation thereof.
Yo, something I'm say my man pointing out. Now you could anymore better say. What language? I'm say before you know discuss it. What language or tro the people could not read it. I'm tempted to believe say the language that was written no, like the actual language written on the wall no, was not a language that they were familiar with. Until now, they came there writing the good wall no, they couldn't read it. It will be their friend saying Daniel who will come and read the thing for them to hear. So what language did God use? We don't know. The Bible doesn't tell us. But Daniel will tell us the writing in Aramaic. The astrology said, and you see, this is where Joe say a Daniel say papa say we are upon the nyansa ashe ono animu na de openo or the man. Or that say or say so obi eka obi ni nyansa omusa wan. It is nyansa for these people thought say they were wise. The reason why these people thought they were wise and they say they were rich. Almost Abrante bi asem okache mo si wiase mu a enipa mienu na yentu omufo usikani ene opanyini so obi osika che wa o na kotunufo na onu nyansa anka wo wanfa anye yi ana obi a wanyini che wo so wanyini che wo nti de na wo hu nti a o nim che no so I say but some profoya Joe ye come asemi these astrologists friends saying so say he woman by their wisdom as known by people over there was rendered waste. Because you cannot be wise than God. You cannot be wiser than the God of heaven. So they couldn't.
Or say, then the king Belshazzar greatly troubled. Then was the king Belshazzar greatly troubled, and his countenance was changed in him, and his laws were astonished. Now the queen, by reason of the words of the king and his laws, came into the banquet house, and the queen spoke and said, "O king, live forever. Let not thy thought trouble thee, nor let thy countenance be changed. There is a man in thy kingdom in whom is the spirit of the Holy Ghost, and in the days of thy father, the father light and understanding and wisdom, like the wisdom of the gods, was found in him, whom the king Nebuchadnezzar thy father, the king, I say, thy father, was made a master of the magicians, astrologers, and Chaldeans, and soothsayers."
when this young man, young king, no, could not see the power God has displayed over there, no, he took the queen. Now, hey, is it the queen as in Nemami? And I say the queen as in Neri.
Well, I believe it's Nebuchadnezzar's wife.
It seems, yes,
Stands with Nebuchadnezzar. So she saw what was happening. She
yes,
knew why. Because during the Nebuchadnezzar time, not Nebuchadnezzar tears and Daniel had that known or recognition.
yeah.
They will send for Daniel to talk about the matter. But this one per se, we know how many teams here in Daniel Chirakwan or Fred the magicians and by later the year referred to say it will be sour money. Presuppose that at that time.
So don't you see, in your opinion? I mean, this is what I see. I see where this new king did not make good use of Daniel in his kingdom.
Yeah, possibly.
Yes. Ne papa ne nana na use so no twam cause say me na maba.
Yeah.
So yeah, or say the king, thy father Nebuchadnezzar, made this man, made him chief of the magicians.
Yeah.
And that tells me, say, this guy did not make Daniel chief of his magicians.
Yeah. So or a chief of his magicians, magicians back. The first now boss way.
Good.
Why is it boss?
Yo, sometimes that's what we do. Nipa bebrebe ebe nya position ewo oman mu a. Wo mu be nya position pe na omo wo ho na omo beto mu ina, they want to cut them off.
Asoro kra wo. Preacher
bedru ya no. Na o pese leaders ana wo nyina ede. Ogu om.
O seti omo of no and then nkofo betimi. Ene o ma suppose the betimi o ma ya adwuma oboa. Obetimi aka say me na me institute one as me na me install as a leader. Therefore, you have to obey my commands. Yes.
A situation say we go that enti enya won enya na say na e sha ase o.
Yeah.
Papa e bi no. Iti afi wasaki obi a na nka e bi a wo mu ni nyansa on betima aboa no yi o mo afirim. E no no akofa ne nkofo. Then the queen, which proves say ebe wutie de no ka no a obi a wanyini na watena ahini no mu ache. So she said, your father made this man the chief of the magicians. Verse 12 also saying.
Verse 12 say, for as much as an excellent spirit and knowledge and understanding interpretation of dream and showing of hard sentences and dissolving of doubts were found in the same Daniel, whom the king named Belteshazzar. Now let Daniel be called, and he will show you the interpretation.
You see the confidence the woman had in Daniel. And on Daniel see you. Also, number one, the man had excellent spirit, knowledge, understanding, interpretation of dreams, solving riddles. What the other say? Hard sentence.
Yeah, hard sentence. Yeah. Nyoma more deno.
Riddles. Exactly. Explaining enigmas. What the other say? Action is saying.
Maybe the enigma dissolving of doubts. And nyoma actually
so I want to say no. Fakoma Daniel. So this is someone recommend Obia ne track record say Obi to aye go for him. Go and see Daniel. Let him explain this thing to you.
And I think it's also worth mentioning that during the Nebuchadnezzar time, the Babylonian Empire a building. And he used Daniel, money, those things to be able to build that glory and big empire and a DBS at that time because of how these people were doing. But
Yeah.
Shaza Befa Kunyano pay the oil.
Joe, and I'm catch up say, Bibi Adia be a BBC na prove say Oba na wie. Joe, Osha the way Nebuchadnezzar built the empire now, he went out, conquered nations, and when he conquered nations, he brought those people to his kingdom. Now I selected among them or more office or more wise, you know. No, the more the kind of government, what does it mean? It means that those people now picking their highway, they are now going to help him rule over on one crop for.
Yeah.
He said, Yachi Chrome Phobi. Near ye and Yansafo, whom said, Momra Maka on any mumu. Then, first of all, you have comforted them. You made them feel like, okay, Mosomokaya, and you say, Yajamusa, you are part of us. Help us rule over the nation. You are also in kinship. It's in Nebuchadnezzar's wisdom, no? He brought in people. It's more like all inclusive government. Those slaves, you have a representative in there. It is assembled. Nebuchadnezzar could use those people to reach out to these individuals. Say, hey, calm down. Yo, this same kind of leadership skills, ideas, should be applied in our various churches, in our various businesses. Sergio, nyansa eni baku fotrim. It don't become autocratic in the way I will see running church, in the way I will see running business. Joe, we a jar who fear. The Bible says, yes, the man is the head of the home. But it doesn't mean say nyansa nyina ewo papa no nkwa utrim. So that sorry o can kebi. Say okasa obi antiri nkyere na adwen bio. Now, Nebuchadnezzar did not do that. And that is why his kingdom was expanded. That was why his kingdom was becoming big and stronger. Because when he phobia or no, this guy came, and when you listen to him, it's more like, and before Nina Nanom Ayusu Womono, were relegated Womju, were relegated Womu, Ama, they are no more working for him. So then, it took Onwane grandmother to tell him, say, go and search for this man. Daniel Baba, near the Besijo.
Verse 13 say, then was Daniel brought in before the king. And the king spake and said to Daniel, art thou Daniel, which art thou the children of the captivity of Judah, whom the king my father brought out of the Jewry? Onim no krapo.
Onim no. When you go for upi we buy na. Verse 14 till okay.
I have heard of thee that the spirit of the gods in thee, and that light and understanding and excellence of wisdom is found in thee. And now the wise men and the astrologers have been brought in before me, and they should read this writing and make known to me the interpretation thereof, but they could not show me the interpretation of the thing. And I have heard of thee.
Okay, I'll say, I've been anano, money, and this is what is happening. We brought these people in. They have not been able to teach us. They have not been able to explain the writings on the wall to us. So Daniel, help us. Yeah, to also.
I say, and I have heard of thee that thou canst make interpretation and dissolve doubts. Now, if thou can read the writing and make known to me the interpretation thereof, thou shalt be clothed with scarlet and have a chain of gold around the neck, and shall be the third ruler in the kingdom. Then Daniel answered and said, before the
Twɛn
king.
ɔse Daniel timi explain ade ne kyerɛ na ɔbɛma no scarlet. Scarlet ne ɛyɛ color purple color.
Yeah.
Purple color. Ti sɛ bibi sɛ hwɛma fi. Daniel wotumi yɛ saa interpretation a yɛbɛ dress so purple. In other words, yɛbɛyɛ wo te sɛ ɔhene. Na Joe wotumi sɛ Daniel bedwa kakra. Na mene na anka me so medwa because me ya adwuma ma wo nana. O ba no wa relegate yen. Wa ye free mu. Afi na wa kire wa obebusa me say me na me Daniel na na.
I think there's also let me also point out something as well. Well, it might also well, as Chinemekan, one of the view might be that when the book at Belshazzar took over, he relegated particularly someone like Daniel and Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego relegated him. It could also mean that when Belshazzar was there, Sabrina Daniel needed to the extent that if you occur retirement.
Well,
like occur retirement in that category. So, possibly they will have that system of more wise men and more working man here. Into do pempens will be doing fear be do also occur retirement. It possibly maybe Belshazzar take it over. Not Daniel at that age when you need what's not say the book of Nazar reign close like 40 years plus and son over. It possibly when you occur retirement sort of it can be. But
it can be another thing. So they say the kingdom was too big. Say he could have also been moved to a different section
of the kingdom.
Of the kingdom. What I say. But I mean, one thing I'm saying, we establishing is say, and I will take for a shadow. So say, does not matter. Say, and require wise kings. No one be a juma. Na kingdom for a long time. Now, Beba, now Joe, you don't even consult them because at the end of the where my concern is, is when the man did not even know who Daniel was. Joe, when you come to this nation, Ghana, that's one of the problems we are facing. Your xenophobia, they have worked in this country for a long time. They have various experiences in how to manage this country. When you come and you decide to relegate all of them, you don't consult anybody. Now, for young people, now don't really or minor, they are going to suffer. We are going to go through a whole lot of things. And I'm not surprised, Ghana is where we are now because there have been some experienced people they could have helped in building this country. But about now you need the frame. Maybe consent pa I said me pointed out now here is going say if this man Daniel is well known by Akwawi or Hinaway and Nana Nebuchadnezzar how can we in it tells you say he have not, and for the king to say are you Daniel, trying to find out whether Daniel is indeed the Daniel that she knows? No. Just say he has not even searched for these people. If Daniel had even gone on pensioner, is there no knowledge in him that you could have tapped? So that's what I wanted you to see. Say this man did not make use of those old people in the kingdom. Now, Joe, if you relegate all the wise people, all the experienced people you tend to repeat a lot of mistakes that those ahead of you did before you came. But Sekauma, those people know anywhere Juma, they could have pointed out to you some of the things. And I'm sure, say, if Daniel and Co were working under this Kenner, they wouldn't have gone far with going to take the vessels in the temple, to come and drink from it, yo.
Yeah, but that's it. I'm reading some few comments. Abba, oh, aha. Na yɛnto aso ma wo sɛ Ajatram Achampon say watching you live from United Arab Emirates. God bless you, brethren. Ma wo sɛ Aja rest for the Jari Mentan so say keep up the good works. Patrick Abin nso so wɔhwɛ yɛn from Kumasi. Ana mahunu sɛ Aja Edu nso say wɔhwɛ yɛn from New Edibiase. Ayaman nso ɛde aba sɛ Belteshazzar said Nebuchadnezzar is his father. However, I have seen Nebuchadnezzar is his grandfather. Kindly verify. Ayaman yɛde ka akyerɛ him kɛse sɛ first of all wokɔsua abakɔsɛm kakra ɛwɔ Babylon for no ahenni mu a you realize that Belteshazzar no ne papa nkasa ne din de Nabonidus. It's in history. Just go and search. You can Google Belteshazzar ne papa nkasa ebema the lineage of ahemfo be di ade na ade. You realize that ne papa was also a king at the time one no di ade no, and the father's name was Nabonidus. Hebrew for they don't like they name woman who say so because the grandfather now or father. Hebrew for the old Semitic languages like Babylon, they normally want to say that your father. But when they say father, it does not necessarily imply say direct father. The there was a say well father and direct father and I said the father the father-in-law. Sometimes you call person father-in-law or the father. Then you study the context, then you realize that no, he meant father-in-law like that. So that is a bit of clarification. So it is the Nebuchadnezzar, Belteshazzar, Belshazzar. I mean, kind of not Belteshazzar. Belshazzar is not not the direct father, not the direct son of Nebuchadnezzar, but rather, the grandson, and clearly, I think that. So if you read it in the text, in fact, make version here be great. The version the King James and be great. Maybe Obeka father be no their share or the one some reference version chain no atro forefather, no atro forefather. Give you an indication. Say he's not talking about his direct father. His grandfather sort of. I mean, to us verse 17 or say. Then Daniel answered and said before the king, let thy gift be thyself, and give thy reward to others. Yet I will read the writing unto thee, and made known to you the interpretation.
I want to make sure say I read it seems as Daniel will get a crack. In the sense say, oh no, say I will hear me there. Once I take a can near my other bed. But I don't need them. I don't know. I'm going to tell you what God is saying. You don't need to pay me. I do. I know. I am wanted to ask for Ghana, anywhere in Nigeria, and then I so for. It is South of Webby Pan or Munya done a position here. Yo, come a catch on him, Nana. I for the man also the moment there. Fam will be. But you know what? I'm going to do it. Are you going to have those people doing that?
No. Emma.
No, Sikana Diadim. Daniel say, Sikane one champion there, baby. But let me tell you what it means. That is a
yes, you can go position and Casampa Dianim.
I also for to yes. You had your position there and Fenia grow. Na awahosem kese na ede ema ejo yento aso ene hwe
o say verse 18 so oh thou king, the most high God gave Nebuchadnezzar thy father a kingdom and majesty and glory and honor, and for the majesty that he gave him, all people, nations and languages trembled and feared before him, whom he would slew and whom he would put alive, and whom he will set up, and him he will be put down. And when his heart was lifted up, and his mind hardened in pride, he was disposed from his kingly throne, and they took his glory from him. And he was driven from the sons of men, and his heart was made like the beast, and his dwelling was with the wild asses. They fed him with grass like oxen, and his body was wet with the dew of heaven. till he knew that the Most High God ruled in the kingdom of men, and that he appointed over it to whomsoever he wills. And thou his son.
So, I'll say, Daniel, why would Daniel make reference to what happened to the prideful life of Nebuchadnezzar?
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm sure, say, as at the time when Daniel everybody drew Nanaya Nimuno, he may have seen all the vessels are Oyusuno Nimuho. What do I say? So he's going to see how pride has lifted this guy even beyond Papa Nebuchadnezzar. With all the pride of Nebuchadnezzar and Job, Nebuchadnezzar did not go into the temple vessels to pull any to come and use it. What do I say? So Daniel has not said it yet, but my point I'm basically making is that from what Daniel is coming, where he's coming from, no, it is a clear indication. Say Daniel say, "Oh na nanu krana oh yes I do nya o me man ho so no." And can say Abako say man said this is what God did to him, and that could have taught you a lesson. That could have humbled whoever took over from Nebuchadnezzar. But what the one man brosumpo to disgrace God in the sight of all people.
I say, okay, and verse 22, I say, and thou his son, O Belshazzar, had not humbled thy heart, though thou knewest all this.
Although you knew all these, you knew all these stories, no? You did not learn from it. And I'm catching us a Joe. Say, if people do not learn from the mistakes of their predecessors, what happened? They tend to fall into the same mistakes. What must I say? Benize, Edia and Tekuma, and I said, dear Wuno, and can Tekuma. I didn't tell you, I said, wouldn't him say, I want to make Papa Kotraya would you. This guy did not learn from that. He did not. Daniel say, I know you are aware of it. It's not like something you did not know. You know it. But you ignore it. Okay, and it's in the whole my way.
Verse 23, no say, but thou hast lifted up thyself against the Lord of heaven, and they have brought the vessel of his house up before thee, and thou and thy lords, thy wife, thy concubine have drank wine in them, and have praised the God of silver and of gold and of brass and of iron and of wood and of stone. See not, nor hear, nor know not, and the God in whom hands thy breath is, and whose are thy ways, hath not thou glorified.
Joe, that okay, and you before no de kasa.
And but a bit of funny you are. I said, but Shazza no Fred Daniel. As someone can observe the request is a rat. Can I don't know what never meant chassis. And in some way, no Daniel someone is a Udia, and some of come on chassis, no foot to you first.
Yeah.
And then I make writings natural, no matter was you. I just need to give you some few sermons and run down to you what has transpired and what you have done wrong. And clearly he's pointing out some of these things. What in your code extends, and you won't component now on crew and for anyway, you know, and I'm monum crew and anyway him for my better crew, one monum crew and more jimony and monum crew and Anna once I'm once one. Call bring me. Jump for a Vianney abo any sika jete enyame ana one more muninsa omunye ni omuntimintie omo ni aso mati bibi omo ntimi nkasa no omo wo mu na wo yedede na wo yi omaye na nyankopon no a wo ankasa wo home ene wo kra wo ne nsam ono ankasa wo anyina ye
jo mbesa won me kinkan bibi from Isaiah pansa cha ebeba yanko Isaiah chapter 44
Isaiah
44 we can use different version come any beji pa in fact titri you know
chi meme chiwa just a minute
ai it would fatwi no bra na yenhwe ade bi in Isaiah chapter 44 no verse 3 no verse 13 eba no ada kan sansem wi ede ekire how sebi monimo a how foolish man is se obasum abosonsom enkwasiasem enuanom abosonsom bia enkwasiasem. It doesn't matter how obi be can say na adentina wo kasetia obi som enkwasiasem dinti enkwasiasem no Isaiah maibi yenti Isaiah chapter 44 verse 13 ba no ti o se say
osi duadum for yere huma ho yere huma mu
carpenter ni asem no kan craftsman yes carpenter ni eyere huma ehuma be ya carpenter ni betwa bia ode obe pipe ni nua na odi kan the ruler to ho de emeja mebo a ena o se to aso
na ode pencil sane ho
aha jo eti adana meka se enya ha na mnim se pencil o bible mu order say eti ode pencil sensan edua no ho o mark be betwa to aso ma me
ode adiniwa de eyo
aha
na ode ko mpensan sensan ode ko mpensan
compass
ode compass ode compass ya is ode compass sensan ho
good into a pencil and of a compass say the technical drawing here no or the pencil ne compass or the ato no the sensan into when carpenter need ever sini bia no betwa bia or measure or mark that is what Isaiah is saying to us mama
na oyo no se onipa nseso
na oye juma or the yenkonya eto okotwa bia de be yenkonya yetimi de tena da mo ma ne yeye what ma say or the board also or the puno or the mpoma edua no okotwa free nwura mu to us mama
osi na ode na oye no nipa nseso ofeso se entina edan mu
se entina dan mu nti de ede ba de a enkonya enempa
yes
furniture no enti obi kotwa dua free nwura mu timba ba efie ede ba ye enkonya etna so to asoma me
obi kobu twini duro ana se oyi duabo ana odum wo kwaye mu nnua mu ma ninyini ma
enti wura mu a odum mahogany any pine tree ni sa nnua no omukotwa de befie ede be ye adwuma se de be ya ometima ye nkonwa betima ye mpoma betima ye mpa any table ahodo to asoma me
o se ote sinro na nsuo ma ninyini
otes onorishino what I say oye ma ehun ye smooth ehun ye fe
na oye ojama onipa
na omuwie a enua papa na ede enkonwa na ede ye wi ye di bi ye ja ede ma nipa what I say on say capital for twitwa nua no wi a peace na e ka no se ede ye ja ye soja nti ede bi ye oja ma nipa na nipa nde ya den to aso
na ofa ebi eto
na ofa na eto eti awode wa wotena ija no ho na wato se be ya ohun be ya ohye to aso
na oso bi de to pa no
ena de aka no so or the group phone no more the topa no edi. What I say, Janua, a diaba kuno, our call forest, and I know that would be a Yamina man if you fear. O court side the Anuko Campbell fear. Would it be a furniture and pack at the tower them? Who we are the Americano? Would it be so Janoa now? A warm now I'm out heat. Who we are, Joe, the Akano. What the and what the Anidi, what the soldier and what the Anidi, San Walker. That's right.
Ebimpo or the year unyame soro.
Na ebinom mpo di aka no edua na ono akwa no o dia yenyame asom no eya ngwasasem ye gata abosonsom ngwasasem a we na ye pese kire na ada abeka sisi awu de ti do oka o sen
O de sene ohonyini koto no
omo sene ohoni nua na aka ndo de anu aduane ade na ode anu aduane no owi a na wo design no say nyame na wo koto asore no aha
o de jashe fa na efa so
or the judge half of the diano if you are going to go to or the half of it or the soldier no be any the enroll and half or the asene bosom se okoto asore no
na na efa nso na odi so nam
efa nso na oto ode toto ne nam eti okuma abo a obe esen diano bi no yibi ede ho nam no no re aha
o say ochi so nam di me na
eti ebi akwa na okwete free nwura mu no obechi eso nam ode anwasi ja so che nam ewe jakro no aso abede le bisi
o say oto nso na o say wie me ho
owo mo ne se oto ye ka so obi tuja se o te ase awo brem ne ja ne eto se ye wan
I think
oto so no akasa sen
wie me ho ai ashi
yo lani be
me wan me shi mahunu oja na nkaye no ode ye onyankopon ne ohonyini okoto no sori no bom paye na wo se jimi minyame ne wo mento aso ejiri yese bashada network no I think it's take but my main fa konya is na men kai some few comments my main fa konya is na men kai few comments aba Jedu I said Jonathan can I get the full music used in 2024 lectures with the background hymn? Thank you. Yo Jedu ebia just get in touch with us so that bia my main who are meeting me ascend say they were me share me huna kwa meeting afa so am the best send o say na baby timi aboa ama so etimi nti just let me know but no person will get in touch with me Jedu just send me a message on 0200 777 418 WhatsApp ofra unyame but just send me a WhatsApp message on 0200 777 418. I think I'll drop it in the comment section. You can just send a message privately. Send a bit then you can send me a WhatsApp message. Send a bit minya song no I can redirect it to you. I am also say ha. Then he knew as well, but pretending. Okay. Okasa about Daniel. I want some. No one said Tiger and so they are about great works. Okay. Yeah, that's it. We are live on Facebook, we are live on YouTube. And you streaming live on so but more than unsubscribe to Charity TV, more than subscribe to Charity TV. You just go to YouTube, search Charity TV on YouTube and hit the subscription button. Everything I'm more subscribe with notification by your call live Babinian now so joining here. Kai will say Charity TV website. Just go to charitytv.com, charitytv.com. All the information you can get in touch with us through that channel. So bomode. Yes, Bashada, quick one. I don't know whether your internet now say have you kaka.
I feel ultimate.
Me too, can you loud and clear.
Good. Eti ade kan no ne say obi akomuram akofe akotwa dua timber de abafie. Oba na oba ayi dua ni bi e de aye table ene nkonwa si ne dem. O da say o de bi ayampa o da so. Owie ye no. Dua na ka ye no. O de bi aso atena ho ato tebe ya na ho be ne hye. Dua no a de ka ye no bi no wa pai bi de asoja atoto ne pan no de bi ache namare. Jo wie ya half of dua na da ho no wa kofa na design na wa sene na wa ye no ohonini nyame na okoto sorry nyame ne say enne nyame no verse 12 verse 17 no repeat man no say
and then verse 17 say now kai say say no kai no now the or the
no na the akano
there no sorry near enkaye no or the now say ohonyini na okoto sorry no bom paye say na o say Jimmy minyame ne wo
otie edua na wo ko nwamu ekotwa ya na wo de baaye no wo koto dua no sorry ne say wunyame no wonjo na dua na wo do otimi nante a enka wo na bekotwa no firi enwuramu ba fie
yeah
abososo yen kwase asem jo what ba say edua no awo na obetwa bi a wa papa na jo o de no aduane adi no wo koto no sorry ne say wunyame no wonjo na wo sem se jo enso to a na o di mirika akoma akopagya na fi ho na akoba bi enso mo no ono na wo som na ono na ezo oboawo eti tiere ayibaka
I think Jeremiah so can be I say
yeah
if you nyame no I say your man so
o ma yo that was the tia say bi azaka verse 18 and 19 eti o say
wonim na wonim
o say wo yesa no unni hunumu in other words sebi o ya ataba one understanding I say sa no wo kan yo nyame na make up John Neka
I say wasram won anim nso
see their eyes are so close they can't see say guys no Ediana ya yekotwa free muram no how can it be our God they are not seeing it Joe
na wakoma nso wantiase
and omwan dwen ansem no okay akoma na okay emotions no they have not been able to understand why the tree now no kotwa free muram no abenya da ajesene ye na jo uwi a no mo ato eye o your friend saying paint e dia painting ho eto ya ebi mo abosom a the way yes asene na esi ho no mo say paint
o dia ibu okwa akado
no the akado ana won koti akado wo magazine wo mo de aye ka wie na won koti akado ndi abe painting dua ho na wakotu dua no a wo wa painting ho no soro ne say unyame no Joe Anyankwasasem, Messi Aposonsom Yankwasasem. And that is what the Bible is telling us.
I say na obiara enwene ho na nimdie biara ni ho. Biara ni ho. Na o say masha efa ojemu na ma
to boss you ti asem na za yakaro. I say there be we say sebi money mo we ya ejimfo. Intino nyansem bia ma wutrim say edua emia na mkotwa free muram bae na edua na mkotwa free muram bae me de fa atoto nam are ana me bu bie ana me de to pan no die ana ebi nso me de soja wo mo myself enti nyansem bia ma wutrim say for you to have used edua krono to do all these things no then that Ediano cannot be your God and protect you. It's a repeat. What say?
You say. Na obira nwene ho. Na nimbiere ni ho. Na hunumu biere ni ho. Na okase mahye efa ojamu. Na ma nsrama sopano. Na mahye enam madi. Na nkae no memfa nyo echiwade de sini na mekoto no nso ana
deɛ sini na menkoto no sɛ ɔyɛ menyame anaa
yes
ɔda na ɔka no edua no wakɔtwa firi nwura mu wɔbɛkyɛ so nam wakoto ho wayɛ wasɔ wowie na ɔtu sɛ dua no de aka no sɛ ɔyɛ nyame ma
enye fumbo dua sini
ɛna ɔka no sɛ kɛseɛ no koraa na si wɔ a fine but when deɛ kɛseɛ no wɔkɔtwa na ɔde bɛfie and interestingly wɔhu edua a ɛyɛ ɔno asi wɔ a ɛyɛ kɛseɛ a amanfoɔ koto no sɛ ɔmo bosom ɔmo sɛ ɔkɔtwa na ɔmo abɛsene
no amesene ọmama na ni bi
ani etu abudu so ya kwase ato apajo
interesting no mama mentu adwenya dey bi so you remember I say in the book of Acts I think Acts chapter 19 Artemis I think Diana one man sorry no almost say Diana honini no efirifiem ana meba afo o man sene they have that view say
me pese concept mu misrawo isi say na bibi soro na ba ye na obi na command ma we ba na je wo re me nko but
they do make us say in most cases you know one more sorry abosom na ade no they have that view enye nne na sha ase
they have to yes, how authentic will it be? So they have to find a way to make those who come later no feel say if we will there buy. Okay, Aaron ni Moses. So okay. Or say almost omo pe nyame asom no na mejeje omo asom ade na omo chains na me tugu jenimu na me tugu jenimu na ohoni we free jenimu head you see yes etijo meanwhile no the text no say ono na je sa no na gold no and omo de yes calf no and so omo tugu jem and ade ni free mba you see every time bia na abosonsom enipa ka abosonsom wasem no they try to make it sound like say ade no a supernatural be pay by
yeah
obviously because one kind of say then it makes you quote unquote without due respect it makes you foolish and be na Isaiah can say ebia na wa uko nwura mkotwa ya wo be ba fie na wa be no abi edi ye wodi bia ya ompoma wodi bia soja wodi bi atom bread no uwie na de aka no wasen no bosom se unyame no okay verse yi na wote no kan no or say you cry to him saying you are my God save me yes I verse 17
yeah
you pray or say you pray to it and says deliver me for you are my God. Yo, verse 18 say, they do not know nor understand, for he has shut his eyes so that they cannot see, and their hearts so that they cannot understand. Now, Isaiah Becca said, I'll say, and no one considered in his heart, nor is there knowledge nor understanding to say, I have burned half of it in the fire. Yes, I have also baked bread on its coals. I have roasted meat and eaten it. And shall I make the rest of it an abomination? Joe, this is exactly what Nebuchadnezzar Pano Nenanano Oye say. To me, Unyango Edema no timi overcoming the Israelites no. Joe, what Nanya and say eye ono no nyame and the boy no man yes ade we so what the glory no e command. And I make a say God is going to retaliate. Now Joe, I'm saying this to say whoever is watching us or feel it say ni fie bosom bi curse bi obi a curse no bi ena ohaw bi ne amane eba no so no. Yo, I want to bring to that person's attention say yes. Ebetima basa say bibi honhom bi na no di asie. Ebetima basa wo fie bibi ena how there. But yo omumu bia ne wa obetimi no wadi asie akowie obedi nkunim da. Na yenyame no ntiase. But we serve a living God. Now you see sometimes those things may war against you. But you see, at the end of it, Onyankopon is always victorious. Bonsam has never contested God and won. It has never happened. You see, when Jesus came on earth, now Bonsam him say, you could Jesus, that's the end. And yes, on that Friday, when Jesus cried out, Tetelestai, it is finished. I am sure that Satan and his angels were jubilating. Of course, on the Sabbath, the whole of Sabbath, now a dream. Yes, Satan and his people were rejoicing. And that is what perhaps is happening in your life. Say, a door is closed, something is shut, everything and you feel so devastated and disappointed. Yes, that is what the people of Israel felt. That is what the disciples felt when Jesus was murdered on the cross. And Satan was jubilating. But you see, the Bible says that on the first day of the week, the beginning of a new week, you see, Jesus died to close up the week. He was buried during the weekend. But the truth is, he was alive just at the next beginning of another week. And see, Bonsam, if he said what defeat you, Paul can say, be said, Bonsam him say, Oku Yesua, and Yesu didn't move out by Jimmy Pankwa and Guanguno. Yes, I'm mistaken, no. But you see, the wisdom of God is about the wisdom of the devil. It's a Yangopon upon is a Bonsam, Yesu Okuno, Okunoa, Nimojano, Oshebua, and no Ajede Ediamai. It's the old Famubian or how Biara Unam say, no. I want to bring to your attention, say, it is a time that God is using to prepare you for greater height. And when it happens, please remember, say, that we told you this. When it happens, remember, say, God has been the victorious king in your life and give him that glory. The Bible says, say, Jesus on the third day resurrected. It won't so the Akosibiano. Nebuchadnezzar did not see that. He pride himself. You can come back to Daniel chapter 5. He pride himself.
I'll say, I think it's closing, so let me close it in that session. I'll say, then was the part of the hand sent from him, and his writing was written. The writing was written, and this is the writing that was written. Many tekel you fasten. Verse 26 says, this is the interpretation of the thing. Meaning, God has numbered thy kingdom and finished it. Tekel, thou had weighed in the balances and thou had found wanting. Perez, thy kingdom is divided and given to the Medes and Persians. Then commanded Belshazzar, and they clothed Daniel with scarlet and put chain of gold upon his neck and made the proclamation concerning him that he could be the ruler, the third ruler in the kingdom. And in that night, Belshazzar, the king of Chaldeans, slain, and Darius the Median took the kingdom, and being about 62 years old.
Yo, so here, Daniel say, and now say, why yes, I saw in verse 24.
Mhm.
And so yes, that's ordinary Unyankopon, you know. In fact, verse we will say the God who holds your breath in his hand and owns all your ways you have not glorified. It is Daniel Maeti as I say, oh, seven Unyankopon only the we are saying, Joe. Only the own breath until Unyankopon bet my Joe home. And also, you have not glorified our God. And because you have not glorified our God, no, the fingers of the hand were sent from him. We are mean a small hand in the same metro. And over writings on the wall. But you, the writings on the wall was not reading Mene Taka Ufasen. It was the interpretation Daniel gave. The translation, the translation, not the interpretation. Translation. Daniel Dema and said, this is what is written. Mene Taka Ufasen. And we normal interpretation of it. Interpretation or say the word mene no actually say as if I can make a Mr. Crab. Yo, mene there's an offer. Yeah, show numbers at all. Ola say na original way. Your days are numbered. So okay, what is out there now? Your days are numbered. Just say we here now then.
Aba.
And I'll say, I can't just say, yeah, will. Taka no, your friend saying, your friend saying, Aramaic kasa, wait, just say, it is say, Yafa be near there to, on the man, omokoto fisher, you eat fish na near there to, wait, and away namno. It's a young poor. In other words, God has measured you. Or really, you say far material now they tape measure to so now measure now mark. You then aka obey.
Where you chat?
It Daniel catching and I said, Nana, we are going to mark reviews. He said, the aka is all the apostle ever become. We are now, Bano. And to us, more say, Perez just say, your kingdom has been divided and given to the Medians and the Persians. It is the Perez now on you have been broken. This is your end. God has shared you among others. And I'll say, then what happened? Then Belshazzar gave the command, and they clothed. Now, Joe, I didn't hear me, Pam, but it should be so. Daniel say, the Medians and Persians are coming to overtake your kingdom. But you see, the king, no, he did not see it as an immediate thing. Joe, we are talking about hours, so this is not even days, hours. Something happening in a day will. It was they clothed Daniel with scarlet. There's a royal a year about Daniel. No? And Abakosan said, at the time of this feast now, no. Not Cyrus in the team, no. Two or more.
Yeah, sir. History nature and say, by the time of Fred Prince and no more drinking pound, they had that reverence and trust in their walls. They thought that it's impenetrable, nobody can penetrate, they can't penetrate them to their gates. And truly their walls were thick. And there will be thick walls, strong walls, and huge walls are only penetrate easily like that. So that was one. So they were thinking that nobody can penetrate. And the Medes and the Persians, and also so as a chance are buying a more person overcome it, particularly Darius and then call for overcoming the penetrating one. And they found the solution. The solution was that Hezekiah now were two What two
Yes.
tunnel?
Yes.
Is you ever cool and
Yes.
so they directed the river now a full over Ezekiel tunnel numa ensue eba Israel, Jerusalem, no. They directed that river, cut it off. Said the bear tunnel numu be dry. Tunnel numu dry no. And I'm for a tunnel numu. The chesa Jerusalem. And that night, said the
No,
Bible.
you're confusing two things. You are confusing how they entered Jerusalem.
Yes.
Now Nebuchadnezzar for microphone, but this is a different tunnel. Room the quiet. So you are talking about we're a different tunnel. We come Babylon.
Yeah, we are Babylon. Yeah, we are Babylon. Where the book of Ezekiel tunnel and so. Yeah,
different tunnel. Babylon for the water supply, no. And also so they did the same the idea no be and me. But you see the funny thing is that according to history, no, while they were doing this, no, now also the acid gugu war no. And they were able to break the wall, and then because all the soldiers were drunk, okay, I will say bro 81 friendly.
Yeah.
What must I say? Nyakopon make all the people no confused. Bronsa. Indeed, and some bro Joe and ya the papa. It when these guys came in, no. Now Daniel had been clothed already. It imagine say Joe, na ya bro mo man mo. Na when you who saw your hene ne ache ne yakuno. Mo aka ne achiche mo mpanimfo. Definitely mo looking royal no ne be che mo first. No one said that Nebuchadnezzar called Jerusalem no. Okwache Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and Daniel. Because no more and kwala ya dress or more ahimfie.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure Joe, the same thing they see how. It also say the moment Daniel tried Diana see writing on the wall and vision no. And I say the king commanded say they should clothe Daniel with purple and put a chain of gold around his neck and made a proclamation concerning him that he should be the third ruler in the kingdom. So all these things were made before the Medians and the Persians troop into the kingdom. Now, Joe, you see, Mekacha said that sometimes troubles and problems will come your way. But Joe, when the time is right, okay, when the time is due, God will lift you up without you having to do something. Because Joe, Daniel, God is going to transition Daniel into the next kingdom. From Babylonian kingdom, no, we are not going to transition Daniel into the Medo-Persian kingdom. It was when we have clothed Daniel as a royal, third in command, and Sana Medo-Persia for them breaking in. And when they broke in, no, there should be a transition. What was it? Government, no, there should be a transition. It's a young crop for much less. I say no say it might take you over there as you say no say somewhere. There should be a transition. And at that time, no, Daniel was selected as one of the people in the transition. Why would they go do that? So that Daniel will have a hand in the Medo-Persian kingdom. God did not relegate Daniel after the Babylonian kingdom, no, it collapsed. It's verse 30 and 31, as I saying. That very night, Belshazzar, king of the Chaldeans, was slain. And Darius the Mede received the kingdom, being about, version say, Three score
and 2 years old.
2 years. Three score, I can't score be 20 years. Into three score, 60 plus 2, 62 years.
Yeah.
So Darius was 62 years when he became the first king. Now, Joe, I have my mouth a little history kitwe be that yampong. Kamwa media ne Persia for Kabu Momokono. When they took over the kingdom, no, they thought said they should continue fighting until they take over the entire kingdom.
Yes.
A chance, oh yes, I do. None papa any hobby.
Yeah, none papa anyhow. He was.
Yes,
He was
so,
a portion of.
yeah. So because Cyrus was a warrior, no, he continued the fight to conquer the entire nation, whilst Darius was being the first king and putting things in order. So as I say, we are Darius where we are. The next king of Babylon, Cyrus. Like I said, yeah, King Daniel chapter 2 and then Daniel chapter 7. No? We explain how the Persian kingdom will take over from the Babylonians. Yo, that is what we see here. Or say, then Darius took over, being the Midi for Medo Persia for no. The Medians part of the Medo Persians. And take over. Joe, that's how beautiful God transitioned Daniel into the new kingdom. And how God negatively rewarded the pride. You see, the book of James say, Onyankopon ebre ahantanfo ase. No more omo ahobrasefo no oyeden.
Odomo.
Etiro meneo adisuama ye. Say Joe, yanhwe the way is work ye ho, na esi pagya ye ho e wa asase so. Titru yan asampakafo ene ye adwuma Onyankopon asori mu no. Ese ye extremely careful Joe. Sabio Onyankopon di nimdia ni nyansa man. Eno nkyere se ye sombro so chen obi a wiase. It we eldership you have to extremely be careful the way we treat preachers, the way we treat church members, especially preachers. Our eldership be what younger preachers in your and I will juma muso how we treat workers. What I say, how we see kasa chere nipa. What they say they see treat you, they say they see treat you ma. Say they see kasa chere nipa ono omo ebo ufie mu. All these things, you know, Abishai Kesia from the book of Daniel. But there's something I want you to see. When Daniel was busily talking in verse 21, no? Verse 21, Daniel say, till he knew that the Most High God rules in the kingdom of men and appoints over it whoever he chooses. So God has the power to make or unmake whoever. So we need to understand that God is a sovereign God. That's what I'm saying. As a total sovereign nature.
He makes decision without necessarily he can do whatever. Yes. Without consulting anybody, he does what he wants to do, and that's it. Nobody questions him. Nobody.
Yes.
You need
God is God. Yeah. Over 2 years or year, your person.
Yeah.
Ghana is a sovereign nation. America form a trade. That's what it means. God is a sovereign God. If you are seeing whatever God pleases to do, he does it. It doesn't matter whether it will affect you financially. It's his power. It is within his power to do whatever. It doesn't matter, say, also not to have a baby. It doesn't matter, say, a man with pains or tears. He's a sovereign God. But don't be if we humble ourselves and give him glory, say God, doing it. Doing it. Whatever it is, you have the power to do whatever you want, and we give you praise for what you have done because the if we can grow to get to that point, Joe, we will really understand and appreciate the God we serve. But as I close, Joe, na ya amfadua ankodi aduane ankototo anwe iwie a yakwa akokoto no se oye nyame ene masa de a na de yepese kire se abosonsom enkwasasem na bi sa nkwasasem ena Nebukadnezar na wakodi a Joe Bible say anadwona yetwa niti ama niti afri so no me da se Joe
me da se so asadan koma bra shada say ojibre na obeka ye ho na ene we have closed the book of Daniel chapter 5 but next week you better also aka some few chapters you wo so kaka you better also we go to another chapter we are doing it sequentially and also chronologically and yeah chapter 5 from your and we will pick up another chapter and try and show you what is happening now. You're close to a section Babylon you can read can clearly see now all the was visions and things that were happening in the time of Babylon. The Babylon time when Daniel had a vision about the Nebuchadnezzar son that it was during the time of Babylonian Empire. But now the Babylonian Empire power now shifted from Babylonian Empire to the Medes and the Persians who are taking over to rule over the world at that time. And interesting how Bible confirms history. History confirms the Bible, not Bible confirms history. History confirms the Bible in details and how far a Bible no in your mind. Just to give us a firm grasp and firm belief that we have what God wants us to have. And no what you're transcending. Be anyone and says what is no. There has never been a book like that, and there will never be a book like our book, the Bible. Let's read it, let's study it, let's motivate ourselves from it. And I believe say without all those motivation, let's get into the book of Daniel and study. You see and the Daniel humanum mention in Cranny Baby. No say sister Rita Eddie Abba, good evening, brothers. God bless you for thank you for your message. Your so as now come on BBR bread now or share in the day on Charo TV on Facebook and YouTube. So here but they share my phone for TV and Sanka na almost TV in share the Daniel humanum. Send a try Eddie VRC na Eddie ni pasu no betimi na kwa na ama no kura nya kwan no so etima ba Yesu Kristo nchen. Adondo me a that's a net yebesa share biom same time same day on Straight Talk. Mediane Jonathan Mensa Bonsu Makra Obibia. Bye bye.